Hi folks, if you have a Samsung smartphone with the software update One UI 3 installed and wondering what are the cool things you can do with it, well, today I'm going to show you some of the top tips and tricks for the Samsung One UI 3 software update. And I have here the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold2, which I've been using it for a few weeks with the Samsung One UI 3 update, and it's been awesome. So I can't wait to share all of the tips and tricks that I have found myself using every day with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold2. So I'm going to be using my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold2 here to showcase some of the top tips and tricks. But if you have a Samsung S10 series or S20 series, these tips and tricks apply to those smartphones as well. So let's dig in and find out those top tips and tricks. The first change you will notice immediately after upgrading to One UI 3 software update is the lock screen. The lock screen is updated with rounded button style and has some very useful updates, like if you tap the clock, you now get the widgets, and these widgets you can configure them here in this lock screen. To configure these widgets, you can tap on the settings button, which will ask you to unlock and then directly take you to the widgets configuration page. Here, if you see, you have very few available widgets for you to configure. You still can't add all of the widgets from your apps here, but you can choose from the list. All you have to do to enable disable a widget is just tap this enable disable button, and then that will enable or disable the widget in the lock screen. Now you can also reorder them. Just tap reorder button and then drag and drop the widgets to the top if you want them to see first. So for example, I'm going to move this weather widget to the top, and then that's it. I drag and drop and now they are reordered. Just press back and that will be saved. To see it in action, let's go ahead, tap on our lock screen, clock, and then now you can see the weather is at the top, followed by the music widget and then the digital well-being widgets. So very useful if you're wanting to get a quick glance of some of the things from your lock screen. Along with the widgets in the lock screen, you can also configure to get some beautiful wallpapers for your lock screen. All you have to do is swipe left to get started, and then here you will be able to configure the dynamic lock screen wallpaper service. If this is your first time, you will see some options here to get started. Otherwise, you will see the gallery button on the top right. Tap on that, and then you will see that you can choose the wallpaper categories here. And then what that will do is once you choose the categories, each time you turn on the lock screen, in the case of Galaxy Z Fold, whether that is your main screen or the front screen, you will get a new wallpaper. You can see here I have chosen dogs. I can also choose the category art. And now what that will do is it will download all of the wallpapers for that category and then randomly select a wallpaper between these two categories that I have here. So let's see it in action. I'm going to double tap to turn off the display, and then I'm going to double tap to turn on the display, and you can see that I already have a new wallpaper. Let's do that again. Double tap to turn off the display, double tap to turn on the display, and I have a new wallpaper. The categories are really nice. I'm enjoying this dynamic lock screen, and I hope you enjoy it as well. There are quite a few categories here to choose from, but you can't still apply your own gallery from the photo album or even, let's say, from Google Photos. I hope Samsung provides that update, but right now these selected categories do have really good wallpapers for your lock screen. Media controls are now easier to access as well. If you have a music playing in your phone, you will see that the media control in the lock screen is now bigger and easier to access. The buttons are also just right there in front and center for you to access them, while they were really not easy to access in the previous Samsung One UI update. So those were some of the updates in the lock screen that you will immediately notice once you update your phone to Samsung One UI 3 software update. The next set of changes you will notice with the update is on your home screen. if you long press an app, you will see that the menu has a visual refresh. And one noticeable change here are the options are available at the bottom as opposed to on the top. That makes it much easier to access those options because most likely I'm going to be tapping them as well as the other options I have here per app. Now, one other thing if you notice here is that the widgets option. If you have a widget for an app, now it's very easy to select those widgets and add it to your home screen. In this case, you can see Spotify app has widgets. I'm going to tap on the widgets and I get the widget option right away. Now, I can drag and drop the widget on the home screen or tap add. So let's drag and drop. So all I'm going to do is drag and drop here, and then that gives me very quickly the widget option rather than going through, long press the home screen and then select the widgets and then search for Spotify. That's quite a long journey to go to add my widget. Rather, I can just now long press the app icon, find the widgets, and I get the widget option right there to add it to my home screen. There's a new gesture option added, which is if you want to quickly turn off your display and lock your screen, you can do that now. Just double tap on the home screen and that will lock your phone. If you want to unlock again, just double tap again. It will turn on the lock screen display and then you can unlock your phone right there. To configure this setting, all you have to do is go to Settings and then go to Advanced Features, and then you have Motions and Gestures. Tap on that and you will see the option double tap to turn off screen. We already had the option double tap to turn on screen previously. The double tap to turn off the screen is the new option available with your software update One UI 3. Along with the widgets, one other update I like is the updates to the Finder app. The Finder app is now able to show you some of the most recent apps, so you don't have to search for them. You can quickly get to those recent apps at the top here, followed by suggested settings. So if you have a settings that you're looking for, you can also find them right here from the Finder. And for example, if you want to search for location, you will get options for the apps, and you will see also you get the options in the settings and even in the quick panel. The settings one is new to the One UI 3 software update. And now you can directly go to the location if you want to quickly turn it on or turn it off, which is pretty handy. To configure this, all you have to do is if you go to the Finder and then tap the More Options button and then tap on Settings, you will see here that you have the option to show settings for suggested apps, search suggestions, and suggested settings. Now the suggested settings is the new option available in the One UI 3 software update. Next up is the phone app. Not often the phone app receives some update, but in this case, the One UI 3 adds a really cool feature to the phone app, especially for when you receive a phone call in your Samsung smartphone. Let me show you. I'm going to call this phone, and if you notice, you're going to see the background, which is now not a static color or a picture, but it's actually a GIF. And this is a nice little update you get with your One UI 3 software update for your Samsung smartphone. And of course, you can configure a video or a wallpaper for the call background, which is what the feature you're looking at here. Let's go ahead and see how to configure this wallpaper background. All you have to do is tap on the phone icon and then go to the settings, and here you will see call background. So tap on that and you can select two options here. One is the layout. The layout will allow you to configure how you want to show the caller info, and then the background option will allow you to configure either a video or a static wallpaper. To add photos or video, just tap the plus button and now you can choose photos from your album or the gallery app to show as the call background. And if you want to delete all these backgrounds, just tap the More Options button and then you will have the Delete Background option available for you. The One UI 3 software update also updates your Samsung smartphone to the Android 11 version. That means you get some of the Android 11 goodness in your Samsung smartphone. One of the features I really like with Android 11 are the notification updates. The notification seems to be the strength of the Android, and I really like the updates available on the One UI 3 and Android 11 software update. Starting with how the notifications are now clearly grouped. You have the media notification, you have the conversations. So if you are having any SMS messages or any other app that participates in conversations, you get them here. And then you have the alerting notifications followed by the silent notifications. A really nice grouping here that I like. Now, another great thing about the media notification is that it cycles through all of the media apps you have and are using right now. So for example, here you can see I have the YouTube music. I can swipe left to go to Spotify. I can swipe left again to go to the YouTube. And you can see that I get that option right here in my lock screen. I don't have to go to each of the app to find out and play. Previously, if you had YouTube playing, you will only see the YouTube app here. If you have just passed your YouTube Music or Spotify, you wouldn't see them here, but with the Android 11 update, you get that flexibility in the notifications. Now, there are a lot of other options available for you to configure for the notifications. So to do that, just scroll down and tap on the notification settings, and then you'll see there are more options here. For example, if you receive a notification, you can configure the pop-up style for it to be brief or for it to be detailed. Depending upon what you like, you can configure that. Here, I have configured it to be brief rather than the detailed. And then you have some options for brief pop-up settings as well, which is why I like and I have set it up that as my default. If you tap on the brief pop-up settings, you will see some really cool options. One of the settings I like here is the edge lighting style. Here I can select the effect, the color, and even more options to configure how the brief notification pop-up will appear in my phone. So there are a lot of options here for you to select from. The one I have selected is the fireworks. You can see the preview at the top here. You can also go to advanced and configure some of the advanced options. The most useful, I think, here would be the duration. So I can say I want it to be short or long, and then you will see that preview shows you how long that would be depending on the option you have set it up here. So along with that, you can also now go and look at the notification history. To do that, tap on Advanced Settings, and you will see that there is an option for notifications history. Tap on that, and you will see the recently dismissed notifications and other notifications that you got for the last 24 hours. Now, this is useful if you want to go back and look at what you did. For example, if I go to my Todoist app here, I can expand it and I can see that I have a notification. But when I tap on it, it actually takes me to the notification settings of that app rather than actually opening the app, which is a bummer. But I think I can live with it for now. But at least I can go and have a look at all of the dismissed notifications here in the notification history. Of course, if you don't want this, you can turn it off and then you won't have any notification history available for you. There are a few other options in the advanced settings that are very new and very helpful in managing your notifications. The first one is the conversations. Here, depending on the app that you have, you can mark certain notifications as priority so that you know that if you receive a message, in this case from Chakradeep, it's always prioritized. And you can tap on that and see that you get the option to set the priority or alert or silent notification type. If you select the priority, that means it will always show up at the top of the notifications list. And if you enable bubble, then this will also have the option to quickly transform into a bubble notification. So It's pretty neat. And here you can see I've marked both these conversations as priority, and as more conversations show up, you can choose them here. The other option is the floating notifications. With the floating notifications, you can configure to have notifications show up as bubbles, which means they just show up as the bubble heads in your phone, which you might be very familiar if you're using Facebook Messenger. Otherwise, you can also choose the smart pop-up view, which is the pop-up view that you get with your multitasking options. I'm not a huge fan of the pop-up view. I do like the bubbles, so I have that option selected for my floating notifications. So once you have set up the floating notifications, you can see that once you receive a message or a conversation, it actually shows up as a bubble. And then you can tap on that bubble, and then it'll give you right there to reply or manage your conversation. And if you tap on the bubble again, it goes up there into a corner. You can move that bubble around to whichever corner you want to place it. Or if you want to remove it completely, you can drag and drop on the X here. Now, for some reason you don't want to show those conversations as bubble, then you can go and modify that behavior as well. Just tap on conversations, and then you can see you have your conversation set up here based on the previous settings, right? Tap on the messages. Here is a message from Chakradeep. And then you can see that it has an option to bubble this conversation. And I have more options as well, which will help me configure the bubble settings for this app itself. So here I'm going to disable the bubble this conversation, and I'm going to go ahead and tap on bubble settings, and you can see that I can have this setting applied to all of the conversations I get through the Messages app, or just the selected conversation only. Now what happens is that if I get a message from this contact through the Messages app, you see that I did not get a bubble. But now if I actually expand the message, you see that I have an option which will, if I want to, tap on that to actually launch it in a bubble. Now that gives me plenty of options now. So I don't have to have this bubble come up as a default, but if I go to the notification panel and then tap on that button, now that comes up as a bubble, which then I can use the bubble to quickly reply, and if I'm done with it, close the bubble and it is out of my way. The next update is with the do not disturb options. Do not disturb options provide an easy way to suppress any notifications you get in your phone. This do not disturb has a new option in One UI 3, which basically allows you to add exceptions for some of the apps as well. So along with calls, messages, conversations that come from your specific contacts, alarms and sound, you can also now tap on the apps and tap on add apps to exclude and create an exception. So that way, if I am going to receive a notification, let's say from my calendar app, I do want to configure it so that even when the do not disturb setting is set up and turned on, I can choose to just get the general notifications from the calendar app come up. So now if I go back, you can see that I have calendar app as an exception set up here that ignores the do not disturb setting and will always show me a notification from that app. If you go to your settings and then tap on privacy, you will see that you have the option now to configure the permissions. And if you go to the permission manager, you will see that you have different permissions that apps can request. And if I tap on camera, you can see that I have all these apps. Let's say for Google, I don't want to have camera access given to this app. Now I can do that. I can directly deny it, or I can allow it all the time. Now, depending on the app settings, you might also get the options to allow only while using the app or ask every time. Sometimes these apps have more permissions than you would expect, or you just tapped on the OK button whenever it popped up, right? So this is a nice way to go to the privacy settings and have a look at all of the permissions that you got in your phone and see which apps have them. And in the case you don't want some apps to get access to them, you can deny them right here from the permission manager. For example, here is again the location app. I can go to the weather app. Maybe I only want this weather app to use only while using the app. I can do that. And if I have to ask every time, I can do that as well. So that's how easy it is to manage the permissions now with the Samsung One UI 3 software update. So I hope you enjoyed the top tips and tricks for the Samsung One UI 3 update. It is packed with a lot of great features and I really love it. So I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you like my video, please do leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more tips and tricks, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Until next time, bye.